At the inheritance meeting, my sister tore up my $18 million trust fund letter, her perfectly manicured nails ripping through the paper with theatrical flair. The pieces fell like confetti, scattering across the mahogany table while our parents watched with smug satisfaction. I simply smiled and said, "That was a copy. The real one is already processed." The silence that followed was deafening. Sarah's triumphant smirk froze on her face. Dad's hand clutched his chest, and Mom's wine glass slipped from her fingers, shattering against the hardwood floor. Red wine spread like blood across the expensive Persian rug, the one I paid for last Christmas. "What did you just say?" Sarah's voice trembled, her confidence cracking like thin ice. "You heard me." I leaned back in my chair, finally letting years of pent-up satisfaction surface. "While you were busy playing the perfect daughter, I was meeting with Grandpa every Sunday for the last 5 years. He knew exactly what kind of people you all were." Dad found his voice first, though it came out strangled. "That's impossible. Your grandfather never." "Never what, Dad?" "Never saw through your act? Never noticed how you treated me? How you all treated me?" I pulled out my phone, scrolling through photos. "Every Sunday, 2 p.m., Golden Leaf Cafe. We had quite a few interesting conversations about family loyalty." Sarah lunged across the table, trying to grab my phone, but I pulled it back smoothly. "Careful, sis. Wouldn't want to damage another piece of evidence." Mom stepped forward, her designer heels crunching on broken glass. "Sweetie, let's be reasonable. Family doesn't." "Family?" I cut her off. "Is that what we're calling this now? Was it family when you made me pay for Sarah's wedding but didn't even put me in the ceremony? Was it family when you borrowed $50,000 for Dad's business venture and never paid it back?" The lawyer cleared his throat uncomfortably. Mr. Patterson had been our family's attorney for 20 years. But even he looked unsettled by the tension in the room. "Perhaps we should proceed with the formal reading." "No need," I said, standing up. "I have copies of everything right here." I pulled out a folder from my briefcase. Grandpa made sure I had duplicates of all the documents. He knew exactly what would happen today. Sarah's face had turned an interesting shade of pale. "You're lying. Grandpa loved me. He always said I was his favorite." "To your face, maybe." I spread the documents across the table. "But actions speak louder than words, don't they? Like when you sold his prize watch collection to fund your spa weekend. Did you think he wouldn't notice?" Dad slammed his fist on the table. "Now listen here." "No, you listen." My voice was steel. "For 30 years, I've listened to all of you. I've watched you manipulate, lie, and steal. I've been your personal ATM, your emotional punching bag, your constant disappointment. But Grandpa saw everything." I pulled out the main document, the trust fund agreement. He set this up 3 years ago. The money was transferred last month, the day before he died. "It's already done." Sarah grabbed the paper, her hands shaking. "This can't be legal." "Daddy, tell her this isn't legal." Mr. Patterson adjusted his glasses. "I can assure you, it's completely legal. Mr. Harrison was of sound mind when he made these arrangements." Mom collapsed into a chair, her perfectly maintained facade cracking. But what about us? What about the estate?" "Oh, that." I smiled. "The estate goes to charity, specifically to the foundation Grandpa and I set up last year, the one that helps victims of financial abuse by family members. Ironic, isn't it?" Dad's face turned purple. "You ungrateful little." "Careful, Dad." I held up my phone, still recording. "Would hate for your true colors to show up in court if you try to contest this." Sarah was still frantically reading through the documents. "This isn't fair. I was his granddaughter too. I deserved." "Deserved what?" I cut in. "The money you already spent. The inheritance you've been counting on while treating him like an ATM. He knew about the credit cards you took out in his name, Sarah. Every single one." Her face went from pale to gray. He knew? Everything." I nodded. "The cards, the loans, the borrowed jewelry you pawned. He kept track of it all." "Want to know why he never said anything?" "He was gathering evidence." Mom stood up, straightening her designer blazer, another gift from me. "Sweetie, please. We can work this out. We're family." "No, we're not." I picked up my briefcase. "We're just people who share DNA. Family doesn't do what you did to me." "What we did to you." Sarah scoffed, but her voice shook. "We gave you everything." "No, I gave you everything." I pulled out one final document. And here's the proof. Every payment, every loan, every gift for the last 10 years. Grandpa helped me document it all. Want to know the total? They stared at the number at the bottom of the page. $847,692.43. That's how much I've given this family. I let the paper fall, and not once did any of you say thank you. Dad found his voice again. We don't owe you anything. Parents sacrifice for their children. Sacrifice? I laughed. Is that what you call using my credit to buy Sarah's car? Or putting your gambling debts in my name? Mr. Patterson looked startled at this. Mr. Harrison, if what she's saying is true, it's all true. I pulled out another file. Every transaction, every forged document, every lie. Grandpa hired private investigators. They have everything. Sarah started crying, her expensive mascara running. You're destroying this family? No, you destroyed it. I walked to the door. I'm just finally breaking free. Wait. Mom called out. What about the house? Our accounts? I turned back, hand on the doorknob. Check your phones. The bank should be calling any minute. All those joint accounts you had access to, they're closed. The automatic payments I set up for your bills, canceled. The credit cards in my name that you've been using, frozen. You can't do this. Sarah shrieked. Where are we supposed to live? Not my problem anymore. I opened the door. Oh, and Sarah, that copy you tore up. It cost me $2 to print. The real documents are in a safe deposit box, along with evidence of every crime you've committed in Grandpa's name. I'd be careful about contesting anything if I were you. As I walked out, I heard Sarah's wail of rage, Mom's sobs, and Dad's string of curses. But for the first time in my life, their drama didn't touch me. I was free. The next morning, the real chaos began. My phone exploded with messages, each more desperate than the last. Mom's texts alternated between guilt trips and threats. Dad's voicemails grew increasingly hostile. Sarah's Instagram post painted me as the villain destroying our perfect family. But I didn't respond. Instead, I sat in my new office, paid for by my legitimate inheritance, and began the next phase of Grandpa's plan. He hadn't just left me money. He'd left me control of everything they thought they owned. The family home, technically owned by his trust, which I now controlled. The business Dad claimed to have built from scratch. Funded by Grandpa's investments with controlling interest now in my name. Even Sarah's precious startup, the one she bragged about on social media, built with stolen money, and I had proof. I waited until noon before making my first move. One email to the board of Dad's company revealing years of financial misconduct. Another to Sarah's investors, showing where their money really came from. A final one to Mom's social circle, exposing the truth about their perfect family. By sunset, their carefully constructed world was crumbling. Dad was suspended pending investigation. Sarah's investors pulled out. Mom's friends stopped returning her calls. And I watched it all from my office, feeling nothing but relief. Some might call it cruel. But as I sat there, looking at old family photos, pictures of forced smiles and hidden abuse, I knew it was justice. Not just for me, but for Grandpa, who'd spent his final years helping me escape their toxic web. The last text I sent was to our family group chat. Just 4 words. The truth sets you free. Then I turned off my phone, poured myself a drink, and watched the sun set on my first day of real freedom. Tomorrow would bring more drama, more accusations, more attempts to manipulate me back into their control. But I was ready. After all, I had something they never expected, proof of everything they'd done, and the courage to use it. Grandpa's last words to me echoed in my mind. Sometimes the greatest act of love is walking away. He was right. And now finally, I was strong enough to do just that. 3 days after the inheritance meeting, I was having coffee at my favorite cafe when Sarah walked in. She looked different, her designer clothes replaced by wrinkled jeans and an old sweater, her perfect makeup absent. For a moment, she just stood there, looking lost. Fancy seeing you here, I said, not bothering to look up from my laptop. Did Mom and Dad send you to negotiate? She slid into the chair across from me, her hands trembling slightly. They don't know I'm here. Look, you've made your point. You can stop now. I finally looked at her. Stop what? Telling the truth. The investors. Her voice cracked. They're all pulling out. Everything I built. You mean everything you stole? I pulled out my phone, opening a folder. Want to see the transfers? How you embezzled from Grandpa's accounts to fund your brilliant startup. She flinched. I was going to pay it back. Like you paid back the $50,000 you borrowed from me for your wedding? Or the $30,000 for your down payment? I scrolled through the records. Should we talk about the credit cards you opened in my name? I needed help. She slammed her hand on the table, drawing stares from nearby customers. You always had everything, the good job, the savings, the perfect credit score. Because I worked for it. I closed my laptop. While you were partying through college on my dime, I was working 60-hour weeks. While you were taking luxury vacations with Mom, I was paying off the debts Dad put in my name. Tears welled in her eyes. We're family. We're supposed to help each other. Help? I laughed. Is that what you call what you did to me? Let me refresh your memory. I pulled out another document. Last Christmas, when you told everyone I was too cheap to buy Mom a proper gift, I had just paid your rent. Again. She looked away. I didn't mean. Or how about at your wedding? When you told your friends I wasn't at the bridal party because I was too busy with work. The truth was, I was working overtime to pay for the ceremony you couldn't afford. Please, she whispered. I'll lose everything. Like I lost everything. I leaned forward. Every time I tried to save money, one of you needed something. Every time I started to build something for myself, you tore it down. Do you know what it's like to check your credit report and find debt you never knew about? She started crying in earnest now. What do you want from me? Nothing. I stood up. That's the beauty of it, Sarah. I don't want anything from you anymore. No more loans, no more favors, no more lies. Mom and Dad are losing the house, she blurted out. The bank called about the mortgage. The mortgage I've been paying. I picked up my things. The one Dad remortgaged 3 times without telling me, using forged documents. Her face paled. He wouldn't. Check your phone. I nodded at her purse. I sent you proof 10 minutes ago. Every document, every fraud, every lie. Maybe it's time you saw who they really are. She grabbed her phone, hands shaking as she opened the email. I watched her face as she scrolled through years of evidence, Dad's gambling debts, Mom's secret credit cards, their systematic abuse of both Grandpa's and my finances. This can't be real, she whispered. It's all real. I shouldered my bag. And now you have a choice. You can keep pretending they're the victims, or you can face the truth. What truth? That they used us both. I dropped a final envelope on the table. Grandpa left you something too. A chance to start over, legitimately this time. But only if you tell the truth about everything. She stared at the envelope. What's this? A way out. I turned to leave. Better than you gave me. Unlike you, I'm actually giving you a choice. Wait. She called after me. What am I supposed to do? I paused at the door. For once in your life, Sarah, try being honest. See how it feels. As I walked out into the bright afternoon sun, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Your sister is missing. This is your fault. I smiled and typed back, no, it's yours. And she's not missing. She's finally seeing clearly. Another buzz. Dad, this time. You think you've won. We'll destroy you. My reply was simple. Check your email. The police have copies of everything. Your move. The truth was, I didn't want to destroy them. I just wanted them to face what they'd done. Grandpa understood that. That's why he left Sarah an escape route, a smaller trust fund, contingent on her making full restitution and telling the truth. The question was, would she take it, or would she choose them over redemption? Again. I walked to my car, feeling lighter than I had in years. Whatever Sarah chose, whatever they did next, I was finally free. And sometimes that's the greatest revenge of all. My phone buzzed one more time. A message from Sarah. I'll do it. I'll tell the truth. All of it. I smiled. Maybe there was hope for her after all. A week after my coffee meeting with Sarah, the storm I'd been waiting for finally broke. She didn't just tell the truth, she exposed everything. In a detailed social media post that went viral in our community, she laid bare our family's darkest secrets. For years, I helped my parents exploit my sister and our grandfather, she wrote. While she worked multiple jobs to support us, I spent her money on luxuries. While she sacrificed everything, I took credit for her generosity. Today, I'm coming clean. The post included screenshots, bank statements, text messages, a digital trail of our family's abuse. Within hours, our parents' carefully crafted image crumbled. Their country club friends stopped returning calls. Business associates distanced themselves. The facade of the perfect family shattered. I was in my office when Dad burst in, his face purple with rage. Security must have let him up, not knowing the situation. "You turned her against us," he shouted, slamming his hands on my desk. "Your own sister." I didn't flinch. "No, Dad. You did that yourself. I just helped her see the truth." "Truth?" He laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "The truth is you're jealous. You've always been jealous of her success." Her success. I pulled up Sarah's post on my monitor and turned it toward him. "You mean the success she built with stolen money? The success that came from forging Grandpa's signature. That success." He went pale, eyes scanning the detailed financial records she'd shared. She had no right. She had every right. I stood up. "Just like I have every right to do this." I pressed a button on my desk phone. "Security, please escort Mr. Harrison out. And this time, don't let him back in." "You can't do this to me." He backed away as 2 security guards entered. "I'm your father." "No," I said calmly. "You're just a man who used his children for money. And now everyone knows it." As they let him out, my phone lit up with a text from Sarah. "Mom's at my apartment. She's hysterical. What do I do?" I replied, "Stay strong. Remember the truth." Minutes later, Mom's voice message came through. "How could you both do this to us? After everything we've done for you? Sarah's lying, and you're encouraging it. We'll never forgive this betrayal." I played the message twice, noting how even now she was more concerned with appearances than the truth. I forwarded it to Sarah with a simple message. "See? Still no accountability." The next few days were a whirlwind. Sarah's post sparked a local scandal. More victims of our parents' financial schemes came forward. Old friends revealed borrowed money never repaid. Business partners exposed fraudulent deals. The house of cards was falling, and our parents were trapped inside. Sarah called me late one night, her voice shaky. "They're saying they'll disown me if I don't retract everything." And I held my breath, wondering if she'd cave under pressure. I told them to go ahead. She laughed, a sound caught between tears and relief. I said I'd rather be disowned than live another lie. Pride swelled in my chest. "How does it feel?" "Telling the truth." "Terrifying," she admitted. "But also free. I feel free." We talked for hours that night, really talked, for the first time in years. She told me about the guilt she carried, the pressure to be perfect, the constant fear of disappointing our parents. I shared my own struggles. The weight of supporting everyone, the loneliness of being the family ATM. "I'm sorry," she whispered as we were hanging up. "I know it's not enough, but I really am sorry." "I know," I said softly. "That's why Grandpa gave you a second chance." The next morning, I received an email from our family lawyer. Our parents were threatening legal action, claiming defamation and emotional distress. I forwarded it to Sarah with a question mark. Her response was immediate. "Let them try. We have the receipts." She was right. We had everything. Every document, every transaction, every lie. But more importantly, we had the truth. And sometimes that's the strongest weapon of all. That afternoon, I met Sarah for lunch. She looked different again. Not the polished princess or the broken woman from the cafe, but someone new. Someone real. "They're losing everything," she said, stirring her coffee. "The house, their reputation, their friends." "They lost us first," I reminded her. "They just didn't care enough to notice." She nodded, then reached into her bag. "I have something for you." She pulled out a small, wrapped package. I found it in Grandpa's things. Inside was a photo album. Not the staged family portraits our mother loved, but candid shots. Me helping Grandpa in his garden. Sarah and me playing as kids, before money and manipulation tore us apart. Real moments, real smiles. "He knew," Sarah said softly. "He knew we could be better than them." I touched a photo of us at the beach, maybe 12 years ago, both laughing at something long forgotten. We will be. My phone buzzed, another threat from Dad, another guilt trip from Mom. I deleted them without reading and looked at my sister. Ready for whatever comes next. She smiled, and for the first time in years, it reached her eyes. "As long as we're honest with each other, I'm ready for anything." 1 year later, I sat in Grandpa's favorite spot in his garden, now mine, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. The roses he loved so much were blooming, their scent filling the evening air. Sarah sat beside me, both of us holding cups of his favorite tea. "Can you believe it's been a year?" she asked, looking at the letter in her hands, the final notice from our lawyer confirming our parents' lawsuit had been dismissed. "Sometimes it feels like yesterday," I replied. "Other times, like a lifetime ago." The year had been transformative. Our parents had lost everything: their house, their social status, and finally their last attempt to control us through legal threats. They'd moved to another state, unable to face the community that now knew their true nature. Sarah had rebuilt her life, this time on honest foundations. She'd used the trust fund Grandpa left her to start a legitimate business, a nonprofit helping families recognize and escape financial abuse. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. "I got another email from Mom yesterday," Sarah said quietly. "She still wants us to fix things, meaning give them money and pretend nothing happened." I smiled. "And what did you say?" "Nothing." She set down her tea. Some silences speak louder than words. We both learned that lesson the hard way. The hardest part hadn't been exposing the truth or even facing the legal battles. It had been learning to live without the weight of toxic obligations, learning to be sisters instead of competitors. "Grandpa would be proud," I said, touching the worn leather of his journal, my most treasured inheritance. Not of what happened, but of what we became after. Sarah reached over and squeezed my hand. "He'd be proud of you especially. You didn't just break free, you helped me break free too." The last rays of sunlight caught the new sign at the entrance to the garden, Harrison Memorial Garden, a place of truth and healing. We'd opened it to the public, just as Grandpa had always wanted. Every weekend, people came to find peace among the flowers he'd loved. "I have something for you," Sarah said, pulling an envelope from her bag. "I've been saving up, legitimately this time." Inside was a check for every dollar she'd ever taken from me. "You don't have to," I started, but she cut me off. "Yes, I do, not because you need it, but because it's right, because that's what real family does. They make things right." I looked at the check, then tore it in half. "We start fresh," I said. "That's what Grandpa would want." Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. I finally understand what he meant in his last letter, about how wealth isn't what's in your bank account, but what's in your heart." As if on cue, my phone buzzed. Another message from our parents, another attempt to guilt us into reconciliation. But this time, neither of us felt the pull of obligation or the weight of guilt. "Should we block them?" Sarah asked. I shook my head. "Let them talk. We don't have to listen." The garden grew darker as night fell, but neither of us moved. In the peaceful quiet, surrounded by Grandpa's roses, we'd found something our parents never had: contentment. To truth, Sarah raised her teacup. To freedom, I touched mine to hers. And there, in the garden where our grandfather had taught us about integrity and love, we toasted to our new beginning. Not as victims or enablers, but as survivors. Not as rivals, but as sisters. The inheritance that mattered most wasn't the money or the property. It was the courage to stand up for truth, the strength to break free, and the wisdom to know that real family isn't about what you can take. It's about what you give. As the stars began to appear above us, we sat in comfortable silence, two sisters who had lost a false family but found a real one in each other. And somehow, that felt like the greatest inheritance of all.